All right, so ready to dive into some seriously murky waters with us today? We're talking UFOs, government secrets, the whole shebang.
And let me tell you, the deeper you go with this stuff, the stranger it gets.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Which is why we're strapping on our investigative hats today with a little help from journalist Christopher Sharp.
Oh, yeah, he's the real deal. You catch his interview on Richard Dolan Show.
Recently, yeah. Seems like everyone's got UFO fever these days. Even Congress is taking a swing at it, or at least they're trying to.
That's where things get interesting, right? You'd figure with all the hype, some actual transparency would be a no-brainer.
Exactly. So walk me through this whole UAP Disclosure Act thing. What was it supposed to do again, and why Sharp saying it crashed and burned?
Okay, so imagine this. Independent review board, full access to all those classified UFO files, power to call anyone and everyone to testify.
Hold up. They were going to be able to drag people in for questioning. That's some serious power.
Oh, and I'm not even done. They could even have seized technology that's been, shall we say, tucked away by certain contractors.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Seize. As in confiscated. Okay, now I see why some folks might not be thrilled about this whole thing.
You think? Sharp names a few names in his investigation, mostly House Republicans, it seems. Mike Turner, head honcho over at the House Intelligence Committee, for one.
No surprises there, I guess. Intelligence committees and UFOs. Name a more iconic duo.
Right. But it doesn't stop there. Mike Rogers from the House Armed Services Committee pops up too, and even Mitch McConnell gets a mention, though his people are playing it pretty coy.
Of course they are. So we're wading into political territory here. Big names, big money, probably some big conflicts of interest too, am I right?
Bing, ding, ding. Sharp found some pretty interesting connections between former staffers from those committees and guess who? Defense contractors like Lockheed Martin.
Well, well, well. It's always about the money trail, isn't it? But hold on a sec. Is this just a case of political maneuvering and corporate greed, or are we about to go full conspiracy theory here?
Strap in because it gets even wilder. Sharp suggests that some officials, and he's talking high level here, are actually afraid to push for transparency.
Wait, afraid? As in, they're worried something bad will happen if they spill the beans. Now, who's watching too many spy movies?
Hey, I'm just reporting what the guy said. He talks about being warned about some nasty people who could do some very bad things. Those are his words, not mine.
Okay, now that's chilling. Is Sharp saying what I think he's saying? That there are people out there who'll go to any lengths to keep this stuff under wraps.
He dances around it a bit, but he doesn't exactly shy away from it either. And you want to know where it gets even more interesting. This whole retrieval program thing, those efforts to get their hands on whatever's out there, yeah, it might not just be happening on land.
Hold on, we're talking crashed UFOs, powerful people playing their cards close to their chest, and now you're throwing the ocean into the mix.
Well, think about it. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about our own ocean floor. Perfect place to hide something, right?
Out of sight, out of mind, that's for sure. But we're not talking about some sunken pirate treasure here, are we?
Not exactly. Sharp's digging led him to evidence of a whole network, and I mean a sophisticated operation, focused on recovering stuff from the ocean depths.
Okay, you've got to give me names here. Who are we talking about?
Think along the lines of the CIA's Office of Global Access.
Which, for those of us who haven't memorized every government agency, is?
They're the guys you call in for those hush-hush operations, often in some pretty dicey places around the world. Real cloak and dagger stuff.
So not exactly your everyday desk jockeys, then. Anyone else in on this underwater party?
Sharp found links to U.S. Special Operations Command, too.
Now we're talking. Those are the guys they send in when things get really real.
Yeah.
Navy SEALs, that sort of thing.
You got it. Highly trained, specialized in underwater missions. The real deal.
Okay, CIA, Special Ops. Now, I'm picturing some serious Hollywood action flick scene here. But why go through all that effort? What's so important about whatever they're finding down there?
$1 million question, right. Sharp's sources clammed up pretty tight when he got to that part. But remember, this all goes back to that UAP Disclosure Act. The whole point was getting to the bottom of potential non-human tech.
So we're back to UFOs, but under the sea this time. But why so secretive, even within the government? If you've got your hands on some crashed alien spaceship, wouldn't you want to shout it from the rooftops?
Well, think of the implications. We're not just talking about a scientific discovery here. This is technology that could change everything. Whoever controls that controls the future. Kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Suddenly, we're not just talking about satisfying some scientific curiosity. This is about power, global dominance. The stakes just got a whole lot higher.
Bingo. And that's where this whole underwater angle gets really interesting, according to Sharp. It might not just be us poking around down there.
Wait, are you saying what I think you're saying? There's some kind of underwater UFO arms race going on? Like, countries are trying to outdo each other to get their hands on the best alien tech?
Hey, I'm just laying out what Sharp's suggesting, but when you think about it, it's not that
Oh,
crazy.
it's totally crazy. But go on. I'm listening.
We know Russia and China are just as interested in this stuff as we are. It wouldn't be a stretch to think they have their own retrieval operations going on.
Okay, that's a pretty chilling thought. But wouldn't it make more sense to just be upfront about it all, work together? I don't know. This whole thing just seems like a lose-lose situation for everyone if we're all playing these shadowy games.
You'd hope so, right? But in a world where everyone's trying to get one up on each other, cooperation tends to go out the window. And here's another wrinkle. Sharp actually thinks this competition might lead to more transparency. Eventually.
More transparency. How does that work? Explain it to me like I'm 5, because I'm not seeing how this ends with everyone holding hands and sharing their alien toys.
Imagine the US finds out, say, China's made some major breakthrough with underwater UFO tech. Suddenly, they might be a lot more willing to share what they know just to even the playing field. It's like a high-stakes poker game with the fate of the world on the line.
So we're all just pawns in this crazy game, hoping someone blinks first and reveals what they know.
In a way, yeah. But it's not just a game, is it? There are very real-world consequences to this kind of secrecy, and not just in who controls the coolest gadgets.
You said it. We're talking about trust, about misinformation running rampant.
Yeah?
It's easy to get caught up in the intrigue of it all, but this is about something way bigger than just UFOs, isn't it? So we've gone from whispers in the shadows to a potential underwater arms race, and honestly, I'm not sure what's more unsettling. But you're right, it's bigger than just UFOs, isn't it? It's about the world we're creating with all this secrecy and lack of trust.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, like what can we even do in the face of all this? But Sharp's investigation, even with all the unsettling stuff, it's not meant to make us feel powerless. It's a call to action.
Okay, so what can we do? We can't all just become deep-sea divers and start looking for crashed UFOs ourselves, right?
Probably not the best use of our time, no. But Sharp seems to think something might actually happen soon. He's got his eye on those congressional hearings about UAPs coming up, especially the one Representative Nancy Mace is leading.
Right. I'd heard something about those.
Mhm.
More transparency, they promise. But after everything we've talked about, I gotta admit I'm a little cynical. Why is Sharp so optimistic?
My take. I think he senses a shift. Public's not letting this go. The pressure's on. If those hearings are for real, actual transparency, holding people accountable, Sharp seems to think it could be a turning point.
Well, fingers crossed, right? But what about right now, before these hearings? What do we do in the meantime? How do we stay informed without getting lost in all the noise and speculation?
That's the million-dollar question these days, isn't it? We can't just sit back and let it wash over us. Stay informed. Pay attention to those hearings when they happen. Read what Sharp's writing and follow other journalists who are doing good work on this. And most importantly, don't stop asking questions.
Like, give me some examples. What kind of questions should we be asking?
Well, for starters, who benefits from this secrecy? Who's trying to control the narrative here? And what happens if these technologies, whatever they are, stay hidden? What are the consequences of that?
And if this is what's going on here, what about other countries? Anyone out there playing this game differently, being more transparent maybe? Feels like we've only scratched the surface here.
That's what I love about a deep dive like this, right? It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions, the ones that make us think, that make us question. Who knows? Maybe those questions, they're what lead us to the truth, eventually, even if it's stranger than we could have imagined.
Well said. Big thanks to Christopher Sharp for his incredible investigative work and for giving us so much to think about. And of course, to you, the listeners, for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep looking up and maybe keep an eye on the ocean too. You never know what you might find.